to week 1 or unit 1 in our course, Women and Church Growth. It's very important for us to start this in every class with a biblical foundation. So this week we're going to look at what the Bible teaches about ministry, the church, the ministry of the church, and women's ministry. I am blessed to have a husband that is involved in ministry. His calling is not only evangelism, but also church growth. Before my husband became president of the seminary, he was an evangelism professor and he was director of our Center for Evangelism and Church Health or Church Growth here at the New Orleans Baptist Seminary. And I remember one day him coming home after work and saying, you know, Rhonda, we do demographic studies of the churches and the communities where these churches are present. And he said, it's very interesting, no matter what size the church, no matter what style or type of church, no matter where the location, urban or rural, he said the number one recommendation that we make to these churches for them to grow their church is start or to develop a women's ministry. Isn't that wonderful to know that as women, God can use us to not only nurture our own families in the faith, but to reach others with the gospel, but also to draw them into the family of faith. We know that women never go any place by ourselves, do we? We always go in bunches. So, you know, it makes sense when you think about it. When you reach a woman with the gospel, many times you reach her whole family. And that would involve her children, her husband, her sisters, her mother. And so we need to be much more intentional as Christians through the local church, reaching women with the gospel. And as a women's ministry leader in the future, as you serve on your church staff or as you serve as a volunteer, you need to be intentional about developing, strengthening your women's ministry. A healthy women's ministry in your church means a healthy church. And we need healthy churches. I've heard my husband say it for years now, that first he said 70% of all of our churches are plateaued or declining. But now the number, unfortunately, is 90% of our churches are plateaued and declining. So we need to be praying for our churches to be focused on the Lord and to be more intentional and passionate about ministering not only to each other through discipleship, but reaching beyond our church walls and reaching the unsaved evangelistically with the gospel. So be sure to look through these scriptures and be reminded of the importance of the body of Christ that you're a part of, and the women's ministry can be such an important part of reaching more people with the gospel. Be praying for you as you read and study and get to know each other this week.